I want to be good at art. I've done art before and I think I'm okay at it, but I don't want to be just okay at it. I want to be good at it. I want to be great at it. I've done art on and off my whole life. I've tried sketching and painting. I've done digital art, resin art, Jasmonite. I even did air dry clay for like 10 minutes before I realized I hate the way it feels. My problem is that I don't commit long enough to just one thing for me to get really good at it. I jump from one thing to the other so quickly that I just kind of end up being average at everything, except for gouache. I'm horrible at gouache. So I've decided to challenge myself. This is my way of like forcing myself to just sit and focus on one thing at a time, and apparently the only way to get better at art is through practice and repetition. Boo! I'm going to draw only portraits for one whole month. This is inspired partly by Emily Hughes' Art's Painting 100 Portraits challenge, plus all of the art books that I cannot seem to stop buying. Every time I look at the art in them, I'm just blown away. I'm gonna give myself the baseline of a minimum of one portrait a day. As much as I want to improve, I also don't want to stress myself out with this challenge and I want to have fun. I'm sure there are gonna be days when I'm either too busy or too tired, and getting even one portrait is gonna be a huge win. On the other days when I have a lot more time or a lot more energy, I can obviously do as many as I like. Another restriction that I'm setting for myself is I'm only allowed to use either pen or pencil, monochromatic. I'm only here to learn how to draw. I'm not here to learn how to paint or color anything in. Obviously, I will still make art outside of this challenge, but for the challenge, these are my rules. I've also started it at a weird date. It's currently the 25th of September, so when I say 1 month, I mean 4 weeks. And if you want to, obviously you can join me on this journey. Let's go ahead and see what I did in week 1. It's been a week. I actually can't believe that I've been doing this for 7 days. You might think 7 days is not that long, but you underestimate how quickly I get bored of things. Surprisingly, I have not been getting bored of drawing portraits every day. I have, however, been getting frustrated. Not at the challenge itself, but at what it is telling me about my skill level. I am not good. I have a basic understanding of how the face is structured, but I have a lot of difficulty putting that consistently into use. I'll go through all the pieces that I made this week, but you'll be able to quickly see that there are areas that I'm constantly struggling with, and I don't really know how best to get better. I watched a bunch of tutorials and I'll have them all linked below in case you want to look at them yourself. This is the sketchbook that I'll be using. So my idea is to basically do one face per page. I think this is a good size for me to get all of the details that I want. For the faces themselves, I'm gonna be using the Pinterest board put together by Emily Hughes Art. She put together a bunch of portrait references for her Painting 100 Heads challenge. There's a lot of age ranges and ethnicities represented. I think that's gonna be very helpful to practice. This is day 1. This was basically just a warm-up to see what my skill level was at, to see what I could do. And in general, I think it's not too bad for a first attempt. It doesn't quite look like the reference image. The face shape is different, and I think the features in general are too big and maybe a bit flat. But overall, a pretty solid start. However, it very quickly fell apart. This was day 2. I tried drawing the same reference twice, but these look like two completely different people. They are not the same person, and neither of them is the person in the reference photo. So for this one, when I started drawing it, it just did not work. All of the features were wrong, and I couldn't get them placed correctly. So I kind of gave up on the drawing part and tried more to shade it. I really enjoy hatching, and I tried to do some really intense hatching on this one. If you look at the previous image, there is a little bit of shading, but I didn't want to go too hard on it because I was too afraid that I would ruin the picture. But I looked at a few tutorials and I tried a few hatching techniques and gradients so that I could do it in this image, but I think I went a bit overboard. This one was a second attempt to draw the reference, but yeah, that didn't quite work either. I did do some more hatching. I tried to do less than what was in this one, but I think that didn't really save the picture. I didn't want to leave it off on a disappointing note, so I did a couple of face studies from Line of Action. I think this one was like 2 minutes or something, which is not long enough for me to get the features down correctly, so I swapped to 5 or 10 minutes, I believe, for these two. Day 3 was when I started hitting the tutorials. I was getting frustrated by how not aligned all of my faces were. Like, I couldn't get proportions correctly, I couldn't get the features in the right place. So I watched a Proko tutorial on facial construction and I learned a lot. I was able to understand the different planes of the face, the different shapes, and like how they all slot together. This was another Line of Action reference that I used, the facial construction that I learned. Day 4. Now, of all of the ones that I did this week, I think this is probably my favorite. It looks very close to the reference. I was able to get the proportions more or less correctly. There are still a few things. The face, I think, is a bit too broad and the features are a bit too far apart, but this already looks better than this. I was feeling really good about this, so I tried to do a second one, and that did not go nearly as well. I don't think it looks anything like the reference. Now, this one, Day 5, was super rough. Yeah, if the person I'm referencing is watching this, I'm so sorry, you don't look anything like this. This, I think, was a result of me being exhausted and frustrated that it just wasn't working, and at one point I just had to put my pencil down and step away. I came back a few hours later and redrew the reference, and I think it looks much better. It still doesn't look like the reference photo, but it looks better than this. And again, so I did not end it on a really disappointing note. I tried to draw another reference, and I think this came out okay, but if I told you that was Marilyn Monroe, I don't think you would believe me. My streak of being tired and frustrated continued into Day 6. I tried drawing this one, and I think, again, it's like okay, but it doesn't quite look like the reference. I found out with this one that I have a problem with perspective, especially up and down perspective. In the reference, this person is tilting their head up very slightly, but I cannot seem to be able to capture that motion. That definitely just added to my frustration. And then this one, as you can probably see, I just fully gave up because it just was not going how I wanted it. And finally, Day 7. I was still quite tired this day, so I only managed to draw one portrait, but I did try to be more forgiving to myself and have a little bit more fun with it, and I think it turned out okay. Again, it does not quite look like the reference, but I don't think it's too bad. And that's every portrait that I drew this week. Looking back on it, 1 week doesn't really feel like a lot. I can't tell if I've improved at all. If you look at the piece from Day 1 versus what I drew on Day 7, I can't tell if I've gotten any better. I've definitely learned more things. I know more about facial construction now than I did a few days ago. But is just knowing going to make me better at drawing? And I know, it's only been a week. I can't expect dramatic improvement in just a handful of days, but it does make me wonder if even 1 month is long enough to get better. I don't know, but I guess we'll find out. See you next week. Bye!